That's right, and now to kick off Connect 2025, please welcome Planview CEO, Razat Gaurav.
Can everyone hear me okay? How's everyone doing this morning here in sunny Florida? Yeah? I woke up this morning and I looked out the window and I had to take a picture. I sent it to my family and I shared it with all Planviews on our Slack channel. It is such a stunning place on the water with the sun rising. It was beautiful. Well, welcome to Planview Connect. So excited to share with you sort of our vision for the future, what some of the new innovations are that we've been bringing to the table, and also highlight to you what our priorities are for 2025, okay? So with that, let me just get right into it. You know, as you know, there's a lot going on in the world right now, right? Heightened levels of change, uncertainty, technology disruptions, geopolitical shifts, global trade policy shifts, right? And while none of us or none of our individual organizations control any, we have to learn how to navigate through all these changes and all these uncertainties. And we have to learn how to still effectively deliver on the business outcomes that all of our organizations are shooting for, right? But in this time of heightened volatility, uncertainty, and change, we at Planview are focused on delivering on our vision of connected work, okay? And what do we really mean by the digital future of connected work? And I want to take a few minutes to highlight some key elements of our vision. The first is every organization has certain priorities, has certain strategic, outcomes that they're looking to achieve. But how you connect the dots between those strategic priorities that typically leadership and organizations have with where the team's actually spending their time is where the rubber hits the road. And that's part of what we're trying to do with our platform, is to really connect the dots between leadership aspirations with where the actual teams are spending their time so that every part of the organization moves in one direction. How do you do that? You do that by being thoughtful about making your resource and capital allocation decisions. One of the most important things executives do in organizations is to decide how to use their precious and more and growingly constrained capital and resources. No organization in the world has infinite capital and resources. Does any one organization have unlimited resource capacity and capital in this audience? By the way, there's roughly about 200 companies represented here from global 1,000 organizations across every industry you can think of in this audience, right? Everyone is constrained, and particularly in this economic environment, even more constrained by capital and resources. So being thoughtful about how you prioritize those decisions, how you try to make data-driven decisions around that is very critical. And then when you've made those decisions, how do you deliver on the outcomes? Not just the activities, not just the output, but the outcomes in the most productive, efficient, and impactful way is the problem that we at Planview are very passionate about, okay? And again, in doing so, you've got to connect the dots all the way from ideation through to planning, through delivery, and ultimately outcomes. There's so many different handoffs involved with that. Again, you've got to connect the dots across the handoffs, right? And in any organization, you're typically working on initiatives that lend themselves very well to agile ways of working, but also many initiatives that lend themselves to waterfall-oriented ways of working. And we at Planview, we're not dogmatic about what is the right way of working. That's something that in our platform we've architected is to really support both ways of working, what we think of as hybrid ways of working, right? And again, in many organizations, in addition to projects and product initiatives, many organizations also have embedded services, right? And we have a very strong capability to help you manage the services delivery. So connecting the dots across strategic aspirations that leadership has with where the teams are spending their time and all the different management layers in between, connecting the dots across all the different handoffs from ideation all the way through outcomes, and then connecting the dots between project, product, and services delivery initiatives is what we think of as connected work in the enterprise, right? And of course, we do that more and more by adding algorithmic intelligence, and we'll talk a lot about that at this event, and also by having a common data foundation. I'll talk more about that, and you'll hear more about this also from our Chief Product Officer, Luis, later today. What are some of the key elements of this? You know, it's about being smarter. You know, it's not just about work for the sake of work. It's how do you become smarter about doing the work? And in today's environment and today's enabling technologies, we're moving more and more towards an always-on paradigm. It's not always about entering data into an interface. It's about connecting and sensing through APIs, through integration layers, through intelligent agents and chatbots, and sensing what's going on and surfacing that to the organization, surfacing that to the right personas. And you'll see that in how we've brought that to life in our platform. And I'll do a short demo of that in a few minutes. It's about being faster, right? Changes are happening rapidly. What would be done once a year is now being done once a quarter. What was being done once a quarter is being done every month. What was being done every month is now being done every week. Changes are happening very rapidly. And decision-making in enterprises have to keep up with those changes and the speed of those changes. Hence, the speed of decision-making has to really lift itself up as well. And then finally, you have to be nimbler, right? You've got to have the ability to achieve agility, adaptability, because nothing is static. The only constant is change. These are some of the attributes of connected work. Now, I'm going to go past a lot of the talk and show you a little bit of the product, right? Because ultimately, we at Planview, we're a products company, right? Everything we do ultimately needs to manifest itself into our products, and that those products are the ones that all of you as customers and partners interface with, right? So I'm going to show you how we're bringing together our platform, and everything I'm going to show you is in production environment. This is not, in our roadmap. Everything that we are going to show today is going to be in the production environment that you can leverage today, here and now. And then I'm going to go through it fairly quickly, but then Luis is going to be here later on today and is going to talk a little bit more in detail about the next level of detail around each one of the capabilities that are new and exciting that you should all be aware of, okay? I'm going to start with this interface here, which is our Planview.me interface, okay? And with Planview.me, what we've tried to do is to bring a single pane of glass that can be personalized by individual user or by persona in what they need to do with our solutions, right? So instead of going through and clicking through a lot of different screens, we want to simplify the usage and for each person. And so here, like the persona I'm in today, it could be a technology leader in a bank. It could be a program leader or a product leader in a manufacturing organization. You name it. This can be totally personalized. Okay. And what you're seeing here is, by the way, don't ever call these things dashboards to Luis because she gets upset. Okay. Because these are not just reports, right? This is actual, these are interfaces that you could interact with. You can read, write, and do the things you need to do. For example, if you need to, just you're a senior leader and you just need to approve certain things. How many of you in the audience have to just sometimes just hit an approve button or reject button? Anyone? Yeah? You don't want to go through 20 clicks to get there. You just want one single click. You can do that through this interface, right? And again, it can be personalized to your needs in a very simplified way. You can look at your financials as an example, right? A lot of you who are developing software, you could be doing software capitalization as an example, right? And here, you need data. A lot of organizations still use manual ways of timesheeting. We've got capabilities that you'll hear from Luis that can automate the timesheeting through our agile costing offering. But that's an important thing to keep track of in the way that your finance and accounting teams may be capitalizing the software investments. You can have things like planned versus actual comparisons, right? In terms of what your planned budget is for a particular initiative versus what the actuals are. You can be tracking that on an ongoing basis. And all of this is integrated to our platform. All of this is integrated to your financial systems. This is not sitting on an island. It's integrated to the rest of your enterprise landscape, but is surfacing the data in ways that make sense to you and service your needs as a user, okay? In addition to that, we have embedded insights. So we've done a ton of work, and we'll talk about our Copilot offering in just a few minutes here, but we've done a ton of work in adding intelligent agents by function, by persona, and modeling those agents that we are surfacing. So this Copilot agent, which is an embedded insight module, if you think about it, is not waiting for you to just provide the prompts. It's not waiting for you to ask the questions. It's surfacing what could be relevant for you as a persona. This is another learning we've had in the last 12 years of going through early adoption with our Copilot offering, is we had to make it simple because typical users, they don't think about doing prompts. Now, I find myself doing more and more prompts myself in my day in the life, but that's changing gradually, right? You don't have to wait for that change to happen. You can surface those insights through our interface in planview.me. We also have capabilities here to visualize, the OKRs. OKRs are capabilities that we've added in our platform, and it's the common threading across your strategic priorities, where your team of teams levels decisions get made, as well as where your team's actually spending their time, right? And that's what's allowing you to have that common threading of outcomes versus activity or output, right? And structuring OKRs is an important way for us to bring the organization together and connect the dots that we talked about. By the way, these OKRs can be connected at a cascading level. You can see how the OKRs you have as part of your role connect up and down the chain and what the interrelationships are. You can also visualize your roadmaps. Roadmaps are something that we added to our platform about a year and a half ago. We've had some good adoption here, and it's another way for you to visualize what the dependencies are on different initiatives in a very seamless way. When we do our product reviews that I participate in with our product management team, our engineering teams, we don't go into PowerPoint slides for this. We look at the roadmap output through our platform, as an example, right? You also can look at all the different initiatives and the status of those initiatives. These initiatives could be a mix of, waterfall-oriented projects. They could be a mix of, digital and agile-oriented software or product initiative. You can change status updates from here. Again, this is not just a report. It's actually an interface that is allowing you to personalize it for what your needs are, right? And you can be looking at the red, yellow, green constructs around this, but also you don't have to enter that data manually. We've also added capabilities using, initially it was using natural language processing models, NLP models. Now we're using generative AI models to surface the sentiment analysis. This sentiment analysis is not based on someone entering a status update. This sentiment analysis is based on the intelligent agent going and looking at all the unstructured data like comments fields, et cetera, and then surfacing what the sentiment is. okay? And this is, again, something that we've added as part of our underlying platform that you can all have access to. And it's showing you this, simplified, smiley face, sad face, or a neutral face. And you'll see here that the Avengers Kanban initiative, there seems to be some issues here, right? The sentiment is actually declining. So let's get into and understand what is the issue with this particular initiative of the Avengers Kanban. So I'm looking at our Agile Place Kanban board, and again, within the Copilot offering that comes with our Agile Place solution, we're able to surface, and analyze what is the underlying issue, right? And you can get that insight through a very simple prompt, as opposed to digging into, 10, 15, 20, 30 different clicks. You can do that through a conversational interface. The other thing that's fantastic within our footprint that we can do is actually for all the work that's already been delivered, you can use our Copilot offering to summarize what the work is, right? So you can publish that. So a good use case for this is for product management roles, right? I used to be a lazy product manager back in the day. I used to hate writing release notes, right? You can just automate that through our Copilot offering. So the Copilot is going back in there, looking at all the different work streams that have already been completed, gathering all the different data points around that, and creating, a word in English. Now, again, you may edit some of this, so this may be a 70, 80, 90, 95% solution for you, but this is a massive time saver as opposed to writing a document from scratch. Again, all of this is here and now and available today. This is not vision, this is not in the future, this is available today, right? It's changing the way that we think about this. Also, you can surface within this interface all the different flow metrics. You heard Lisa talk about flow metrics. This is an approach where many of you are investing in digitalization efforts. Many of you are developing software. You may be a bank, you may be an automotive company, you may be a retailer, you may be a manufacturer, you may be an insurance company, but you're developing software. Every industry is developing software, and the whole SDLC lifecycle has a whole plethora of tools involved in delivering that software, all the way from ideation through all the requirements gathering, all the different coding and testing and release and CI/CD processes, all the way through deployment. And we have the connective tissue that can connect to all the different tool chains involved with that life cycle, and it helps you surface and brings out all that data into a common semantic layer and helps you surface these flow metrics. Flow metrics were invented by Dr. Mick Kirsten, who's going to be speaking tomorrow, and it applies a theory of constraints to the life cycle of work involved in the software development life cycle, right? We also have plans to take this beyond the software development life cycle into business value streams, right? So all of that can be surfaced in a personalized way for the persona that is trying to get relevant information. Again, at Planview, we look at these flow metrics for every product line, every month, every quarter, to see how we're doing. So again, these are the kinds of things that we're doing. And in order to make all that happen, we've been investing in our underlying platform across all our different products. And I want to talk a little bit about this because this is something that is fundamentally changing in the underlying systems architectures of companies. As we're trying to harness the power of AI, particularly generative AI, combined with classic AI, our thesis is that the underlying data architectures, the underlying systems architectures will have to fundamentally change. Everyone is swimming in data. It's not that anyone doesn't have enough data. The problem is you can't use that data to feed into intelligent models and then surface that in a way that can be consumed by the organization. The analogy that I like to use is, the ocean. We're right here next to the ocean, right? But that water in the ocean is not usable. It's not drinkable, right? You've got to go through a process, a filtration process. You've got to go through and have the right pipes for distribution. It's the same thing with data. So one of the things we've been doing, and we are investing in this pretty heavily, we've started this process last year, we're investing more and more going in the future. we've really leveraged the AWS platform to bring the data from across our products into a common data mesh, okay, which is a virtualized catalog. That data then, we are working through the governance structure on who is able to access what, based on user-defined roles, based on different provisions and security modules you need to have within your organization. And then that data is feeding into a common semantic and ontology layer. What is an ontology layer, okay? Ontology layer is really defining what the interrelationships are between these data sets. And that ontology layer and semantic layer will not just be within data sets within our platform. We want to make that extensible across all the other tools that you guys are using, because all of your organizations don't just use Planview for everything, right? We exist in a complex web of enterprise applications. So this ontology layer, which is abstracted from the data, is where a lot of the IP will reside for us. And we are building out the industry-first connected work graph, and I'll give you an example of that. So this semantic and ontology layer feeds into that connected work graph, and that connected work graph is what is going to feed all the analytics and intelligent agents. We've been developing this multi-agent architecture to harness the power of classic and generative AI. And that then gets rendered at the application layer in different ways. The application layer could be a copilot, which is a conversational interface. That application layer could be, one of our applications. That application layer could be one of the applications that our partners or our customers could be developing on their own. This is a fundamentally different architecture from what traditional applications have had. We're making a big push in this direction. We think it is critical to move in this direction if you want to harness the power of data and AI, okay? More on this in later sessions. So this is an example I want to show you of our connected work graph, right? Which is a great, and this is just a visualization of that connected work graph, which is leveraging that semantic and that ontology layer, and it's surfacing to you the different interrelationships that exist between different project and product initiatives, between different resources and tasks, and it's able to do that in a very visual way. But also beyond the visualization, our data science team has added algorithms, transversal algorithms that help you identify the dependencies, right? And these dependencies are super powerful for us to surface, because in large organizations like FedEx, but also like in many of your organizations here in the audience, there are so many hundreds and thousands of projects going on. We work, for example, with British Telecom. They're managing 30,000 projects in our platform. 30,000 projects, right? And they're not on their own. You cannot simply manage the dependencies through spreadsheets, right? This is the power of leveraging this next generation architecture, of leveraging the next generation algorithms to provide those insights, right? This is where we are heading. By the way, the demo of this is available in the expo hall. I know Lee, who's here somewhere in the audience, is going to be doing a demo of this. Feel free to stop by and take a look at this in the demo expo hall, later on today or tomorrow. So I hope that gives you a sense of what we at Planview are doing, what is here and now, how we are evolving our underlying data foundations architectures to harness the power of AI, right? This is a big focus for us. I want to spend a few minutes to talk a little bit more about, where we are prioritizing our investments. On the product and innovation side, clearly, like you saw with Planview.me, like you've seen in us investing in our common design system, our UI, UX design systems, you're going to see us continue to drive usability improvements, performance improvements, more and more on integration technologies, right? This is all really important and foundational for us. There's all kinds of new architectures, new underlying and enabling capabilities and technologies we can leverage. We're investing in this. I like to tell my team, Software is not like fine wine in my cellar. It doesn't get better with age. We have to keep investing, and we have to keep leveraging the state of the art. And that's something that all of you as customers expect, and that's something that you can count on us to continue investing in. We're also investing in our data foundations along the lines that you just I talked about. Artificial intelligence is a big focus for us. We're embedding AI and intelligent capabilities within our applications. We're investing in our underlying Copilot offering, and more surfacing those insights into our multi-agent architecture. And then again, a big shift that's happening in the industry is the digital product operating model. Mick is going to talk a lot more about this tomorrow, right? But we have a strong belief that in many organizations, there's an opportunity to really create this project-to-product shift, this shift from output to outcomes, right? And the digital product operating model that we can work on together with our partner ecosystem can be a huge enabler, and our platform is really architected to enable that. So again, we're going to continue investing in these areas. On the partner ecosystem side, we cannot keep growing. Look, we've doubled in size in the last 4 years. And now we're dreaming about how do we double in size in the next 3 to 5 years, right? We cannot do that without our partners. You saw a lot of the partners who are here. We thank you for the strong relationship, for the sponsorship, and we're going to continue investing in the training and enablement and certification across our partner ecosystem. That's how we can scale and deliver. You know, we're going to continue to invest in joint activities like our Planview series around the world, and then in the joint engagement, like you heard on the FedEx example. We've got more and more examples where we're working with our partners like Accenture, PwC, Infosys, Cognizant, et cetera, to really deliver value to our customers together. And that's what will allow us to scale up. Customer success, you know, we are a recurring business model, recurring revenue business model. The only way we can continue growing is by justifying our existence and ensuring that our solutions get used and deliver value to you as customers. And so we've invested significantly in the last few years, and you're going to see us continue investing in enabling customer success, which includes the University of Planview, which is something we launched a few years ago. We're continuing to add more and more training and enablement artifacts to that for our customers, for our partners in there. Our customer community, we launched that last year. It's an online customer community. If your organizations are not participating in that, please encourage them to participate in that. There's a lot of cross-learnings that can be gained from this community, and that's becoming more and more active. It's actually grown fourfold in the last few months, and I think it can grow even further. In all the journey planning and adoption workshops that our customer success teams and our customer success managers are doing together with our account managers, this is again important. We are making these investments so customers are able to get value from our solution, right? And you're going to see us continue to do that. And ultimately, the ethos and the culture that we are really anchored on here at Planview is this. It's an equation I shared with the company on my day one at Planview, and it still holds true and will always hold true, which is customer success plus employee success, and we invest a lot in employee success as well, is what earns us the right to have business success. If we don't have customer success and employee success, we don't earn the right, okay? And that's the ethos with which we've been working as an organization. Obviously, you know, as we do that, and we try to achieve strong growth outcomes, we're also trying to have a sense of purpose and a sense of mission. And all of us, you know, live in communities that are important for us, right? And we at Planview, we have an employee resource group we call Force for Good. So globally, one day a quarter, we dedicate to doing force for being, us as Planviewers, being a force for good, where we organize ourselves in locations all around the world in volunteering our time, our resources, our investments with the local community. And this is something that we've been doing now for several years. It's a big part of our culture. We've anchored on three key vectors that really drive our Force for Good initiatives. And one of the partnerships we've built as part of that is with the American Cancer Society. So I'm going to ask Sky Proctor to come on stage. Come on over, Sky, and talk to us about this partnership.
Good morning.
Sky, thank you so much for coming here.
Absolutely.
I think most people know the American Cancer Society, but can you share a little bit about who the American Cancer Society is?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the American Cancer Society, our mission is to end cancer as we know it for everyone. And like you said, everybody probably knows us for our research, right? You've heard about American Cancer Society and the research that we do. We conduct and we fund the most innovative research to help cancer patients and their family. But we also send armies of volunteers across the country to advocate for policy at every level of government to ensure that everybody has a just and a fair opportunity to survive cancer, to treat cancer, to prevent cancer. And lastly, within our mission, we provide direct support to cancer patients and their families. And we do that in a few different ways. And if you don't mind, I'm going to share a couple of those
Please.
with the audience, a couple of my favorites. So our National Cancer Information Center, that is a center that is available 24/7, 365 days a year to cancer patients and their caregivers and their family to get information, to get answers, and oftentimes to get hope during their cancer journey. Another one of my favorite programs is called Hope Lodge. A lot of people have to travel far away from home to get treatment for their cancer, and that's a financial burden to families during their cancer journey. So we offer a free place to stay for the cancer patient and their caregiver during their treatment to ease that financial burden.
So, just amazing.
Thank you.
And what I can speak to very personally is, everyone in the room here, unfortunately, cancer is something that we all have people in our families, in our, social groups that have been impacted by cancer. So the mission that the American Cancer Society is a really important one. And by the way, many people think the American Cancer Society is only in the US. It's really a global organization, just as an FYI. But Sky, one of the unique things, and of course we are closely partnering with the American Cancer Society as part of our Force for Good, but also we've tried to help the organization with our products and our platform. Can you talk a little bit about that journey as well?
Absolutely. So first off, let me say, as an IT shop in a nonprofit organization, we look for technology partners that are 360-degree partnerships, right? Organizations like yours that really lean into our mission and actively support our mission and provide amazing technology and data solutions to solve some of our biggest problems. You guys have been a really beautiful example of that, so I thank you, and I thank everybody here from Planview for really leaning in and helping cancer patients and their families, so thank you. Our journey with Planview is in its infancy. We just went live a few weeks ago.
All right.
As we speak, my teams are diligently entering work into Planview and creating projects in our roadmap and resourcing them. But we're heavily relying on the solutions right now in this sort of initial stage to help us with our project management, our portfolio management, capacity planning, because like many of you, we don't have unlimited resources to do all of the important work we do. So we want to make sure we are planning for and managing the resources rigorously that do our important technology work. So yeah, that's how we're starting, and we're excited to really get further into that journey.
Yeah, and it's so fantastic that we were able to not just contribute through our volunteering efforts and our fundraising efforts, but actually through our products as well in this relationship. And as part of this event, I know we have a campaign here at Planview Connect as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about that as well for this audience?
Absolutely. Thank you for letting me share this with the group. So I'm really excited to let you guys know that Planview has a challenge, a campaign here at the event where everybody who has been impacted by cancer, and like you said earlier, I can't imagine that there's anybody in this room that is not impacted by cancer in some way, whether it's your personal journey or whether it's a family member, a loved one, everybody is impacted. But this opportunity, or this challenge will allow you the opportunity to create a luminaria bag and honor that person in your life that's been impacted by cancer. And at the end of the day today, I believe, there's gonna be a beautiful illumination of all of these tribute bags to raise awareness and to give hope in the fight against cancer. And I wanna thank you guys for doing that in support of the American Cancer Society. And if I am accurate, someone can correct me. I think after this keynote, everybody could head to the expo and make a donation to the American Cancer Society and create this beautiful tribute on behalf of your loved ones. So
Awesome, awesome. Well, Sky, thank you so much for the partnership. I know we have a lot more work to do, and I know the American Cancer Society is doing really good work, so thank you for everything you do.
yes, thank you, and we look forward to our continued partnership as well.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You know, this is part of the magic of enterprise software, is the same code base that helps enable transformations and project and product initiatives in banks, insurance companies, and automotive companies, and retailers and pharmaceutical companies also helps enable an organization like the American Cancer Society, right? It's unbelievable, and they're doing such great work, and we are super excited about the partnership. So, as we think about the digital future of connected work, as we think about all the investments we're making in driving the innovations and the next generation data architectures and system architectures and helping you with this journey, it's also important to keep in mind the so what in doing all of this, right? Ultimately, the world is spending roughly $3 trillion a year on digitalization. The world is spending roughly about $3 trillion in R&D initiatives across sectors, right? And various studies have shown that there's a lot of waste involved with that. A lot of that waste happens because of, lack of alignment between strategic priorities and where the teams are spending their time. It happens because of all the different leakage in the handoffs from ideation through to outcome life cycles. The leakage happens because of the lack of alignment on the outcomes across functions and across different tiers in the organization. And there's a big opportunity for us to create value. And all of us in the room here are in some way, shape, or form involved with enabling transformations, enabling project and product work in organizations. And in our sort of humble calculation, that's a $550 billion value creation opportunity, right? If we can help connect the dots, if we can help plan and deliver on initiatives, if we can help enable project and product initiatives more effectively and more efficiently with visibility and alignment and synchronization, the prize is big, okay? And to bring it home and make it more personal, if we think about the people in this room and the organizations you represent, that represents roughly a $60 billion opportunity for creating more efficiency in your organizations here in the room. You may not agree with the exact numbers. These are more directional, right? But the point is, all of us involved in this work, you as leaders of programs, of projects, of products, you as leaders of transformation and technology and product development and engineering and research, all of you have a massive opportunity to reduce the waste, to create value in your organizations, okay? That's why this is important. That's why we at Planview are passionate about building the digital future of connected work. So I'd like to end here with this quote. It's from a book that some of you may be familiar with. It's called The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. And I just thought it's very relevant. And by the way, the background visual is something that our product marketing leader developed on ChatGPT by feeding in and prompting this quote and letting ChatGPT self-generate the visual. And I think it's a very good visual between the old bricks versus the new modern building, right? And I don't know if many of you know this, but I studied structural engineering, so for me, this is a very personal visual, right? And the quote goes something like this: "The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new." Let's build the new. Thank you so much.